Hello, everyone. So we'll move, and I just have 30 minutes to share. When Yinka was talking to me, she said, I just want you to share how you do all the things you do. And I said, hey, in 30 minutes. Okay, that's fine. But I'd share, and I trust our Father that he would give you your dog whistle. And for those, we all know what our dog whistles are, Okay, for those who don't know. So dog whistle is a dog, when a hunter goes out, the dog hears the whistle. Humans may not hear it, but a dog hears the whistle. So you may not hear what your partner or your seatmate is hearing, because that thing is for you. So I'm hoping we'll do that. So, okay, let's go. Next slide. This is what I was trying to avoid. All right, I'm glad Yinka didn't say work-life balance, because there's no balance. Let's get that out of the door. There's no balance. It cannot happen. It can't. It will not balance. That scale won't balance. The scale can only balance when you're a baby girl and you're just sitting down as the granddaughter of Windsor. So, next slide. So it is a gear, right? And it keeps on moving. And so the engine of a gear, it just keeps on moving. Sometimes it will move nicely. Sometimes you hear grrr, which is you're going through squeezes, but it will move. Now, again, work-life integration is also not a destination. So you cannot say, yes, I have attained work-life integration. In fact, this is where I'm supposed to be. No. Because except you're going to say, I've reached the pinnacle, I'm not planning to grow again, then you have attained it. But as long as you want to keep growing, it is a journey. And I put this very long road, and this long road has, up bumps. So you will go through bumps, but it's part of the journey. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So, I am Nkebet Mesele. I call myself a Northerner because I'm still struggling with this people's Lagos. So, I am a mother. No, I'm a wife, first of all, because those children, when it's time, they will leave. Before them, he was. After them, he will remain. So I'm a wife first. And then I'm a mother to amazing children. I have 4. So I have 3 generations of children. I have the one in uni, the one in secondary, then the Larondos in primary school. So you can imagine how my brain has to work in dealing with the different age gaps. But we move. Then I'm also a daughter. So I'm a daughter to 2 people. So my mother and then my father-in-law. My father-in-law was independent until his wife died. Then he realized that I'm supposed to be his second wife or his child. So anyway, I still need to attend to him. And my mother, if I don't call her by 4 p.m., she's like, where are you? And I'm like, Mommy, I'm fine. She said, but I've not spoken to you. And I'm like, Mommy, you do realize? Okay, how are you? But we give them flowers while they can smell them. So I'm that as well. I'm a sister. My middle name is Eka. And I'm a Kwaibom, actually. So for those, I'm Nigerian, first of all, for those who are confused with my name. Yes, I'm Nigerian. So I'm a Kwaibom, but I grew up in the north. So my middle name is Eka. And Eka means mother. So everybody in my family literally took that to mean I'm supposed to be their mother. That is not a good thing. Because sometimes you need to be somebody to pet you, but everybody, so I'm a sister, and I'm a sister-in-law because somehow my husband's family embraced that meaning Eka, and I'm like, you guys, please, But most importantly, I'm a career woman. And that is also important, and that is a ball that I do not play with. And I do not take apologies for that. But at the same time, I'm also in ministry. So apart from church, I have a ministry in Lekki where I have over 103 children and teenagers that I work with every Saturday. So that's my calling, and I'm in I take that very seriously. Then I'm a businesswoman. I do business. So I do produce business, and yeah, that's, I have a lot of, so the gray hairs you see would be, from there, yeah. Then I'm also on the board with Yinka, which is very demanding as well. I do advisory for a couple of companies on tech, on innovating and all that. I have a school in Kaduna. I'm a friend, and that's a very important role, because you don't, when all is said and done, when people are on their deathbed, you don't hear, oh, please, let's go and see this person because she used to make great presentations. Oh, let's go and see this person. Oh, let's surround ourselves on the deathbed of this person because she was lovely. She had great appraisals. She got excellence. She was excellent at work. It's your family and friends that surround you. So I don't play with that. And I'm also a mentor and mentee. So again, you see, 24 hours is not enough in a day, right, to do all these things. But yes, we move. So what is now work-life integration? It just simply means aligning your priorities and managing your boundaries. They like to take notes in this place, shall we see? So aligning priorities and managing boundaries. When you do all these things, you have to know what is important and what is not. And you set boundaries for the things that you cannot deal with. Now, the integration process will change based on your life. So if you are 20-something now, your work-life integration is different. The things that are important to you are not the things that are important to me, because you just want to do your career and have a social life. And if you are not married, you want your social life to be where you will be found. So so that's your work-life integration. For somebody who is married, the work-life integration now has to get into family, job, and all those things. And then for someone who is married, has a career, has a business, it just further expands as you grow. So how do you align and manage your priorities? Okay, next slide. I was hating to do this. Okay, so this is that gear, and this is your family, your relationships, and your spiritual activities. So how do you make this work? I see people make a lot of mistakes in trying to do all. And I say to people, you're not jollof rice. You cannot make everybody happy. When you try to please people, what happens is it creates a strain for you. And you are not, and one thing will suffer. Thank you. And one thing will suffer. If that guy in orange does not suffer, the big guy in gray will suffer. And here's the reason why I put the big guy, the biggest gear as work. Because you need that guy to fund these two. If you are not doing well at work, all those family members that like you, But so that's why you cannot play with work. And I thank Osinachi for the way he was like, he was hitting it. You cannot play with work. But at the same time, your family is important. Your relationships are important. Because the day work goes, and you have burnt bridges. Okay. But at the same time, you need to be sane. So you need your spiritual, you need your hobbies, you need your mental, and you need your physical well-being. If you are sick, that gray guy will suffer. If you are having high blood pressure every day and they're rushing you to hospital, that gray guy will suffer. So how do you ensure that you have your flexibility? And one thing to know is that it's a journey and it's a season. So the fact that you are going through a tough season now, or the fact that things are not working well, it doesn't mean it will remain. And that's why even Bible says, it starts chapter with, and it came to pass. It comes to pass. But if you are saying, I want to be like Yinka. Why is she living in Ikoyi and I'm living in Ikeja? Hello? Were you there when she was living in Kutu Enji? You were not part of her journey. Everybody has their journey. And I'll tell you a little bit about mine. You know, my husband, I don't know what he was thinking. He moved me from Abuja to Aja when they were fixing Lekki Road in 2009. I hated life. And I was working at a bank. And I needed to be at the bank before 8. And I had 2 small children. It was crazy. I'd leave home past 4 with tears in my eyes. I'll bathe the baby sleeping. And I'll be in traffic. And still, with that 5 o'clock, you've left home, 4:45, you're not getting to the office before 7:30. You will barely scrape it and get into crèche. But you're already thinking about the journey home. But I needed that season. I needed to build resilience. And, you know, I'm so glad it is indeed talking about resilience. You need to build it. Because if you don't build it, by the time you get into leadership, you will struggle. And so, how do you now cope with that? So what I started to do, and then I'll get home, and then the mister, you know, and one day I told him, I said, can I just go back to Abuja? I had a lovely job in commercial banking in Abuja. I know they'll take me back. I was a performer. So I was frustrated, but I needed to embrace it. It was the day I embraced it that I found my peace. So what did I start to do? I would do things like I'll parboil rice, because I know we still have to eat when we get home back. I'll parboil rice and I'll put it in the fridge. So that when we get home, I will now boil it and it will look like fresh rice. Then we moved, you know, we started growing and then we moved. And then there were times when I just couldn't cope, and I'd send my children to Kaduna during the holidays just so that I could have some sanity. But it was a season, and I needed to go through it. If you do not go through your seasons, you will meet it in front. And when you meet it in front, it will be tougher, because you will now be exposed. Then I moved to a season where I was working. I was no longer in Agile. I was still not in Ikoyi, still. And I was doing so well at work, but I call her a wonderful boss, because God will bless her. Because then it was a tough season, but I'd find myself getting my children ready for church on Sunday morning. They are going to church, I'm going to the office. It was a season. And then I'd work Saturday, I'd work Sunday. But the things that I was learning there was what I needed for my next level. And everybody was thinking I was mad. Why are you doing this? Why are you letting her push you around? Why are you doing this? And I said, In the middle of it, I lost 2 babies. But it was a season. Oh, don't tell me, we have moved on. Oh, it was a season, and I needed it. I probably wasn't ready to have children then, because they would have suffered. I had no business having children then. And then I moved from there into then growing into myself. And that is where you need to go to, where you have a plan, where you are able to identify, these are my priorities, this is what I'm doing. And so by the time I started to grow and I had my baby, you know, when Yinka said, she posted something on LinkedIn that she was breastfeeding and had to travel, I said, that's my story. I had a baby and I just resumed. And they said, you need to go to Morocco. I said, huh? I said, okay, can I maybe, you can't tell your boss, I just resumed. I needed to have, so for those of you carrying motherhood on your head at work, newsflash, your boss does not care. So I found myself going to Morocco with a breast pump. And so in the morning, I'd quickly express. And then I'll come. By the time I came back, the girl continued from where she stopped. And everybody was all right. So, what do we do? After all said and done, how do we maintain our workplace flexibility? To thine own self be true. People lie to themselves a lot. You are not a morning person. Your day in your brain, you wake up at 5, but your brain wakes up at 10 o'clock. Please, why are you setting important meetings at 8 a.m.? When you know that the thing that will come out from your mouth does not make sense. To thine own self be true. What are your most productive hours? Is your most productive hour in the night? I tell people, I say, see, if you want the best out of me, come at 3 p.m. Because in the morning, I'm not a morning person, but I had to be a morning person as a mother because you have to wake up, get them ready. So I'm in meetings in the morning, that's fine. But it's from 10 o'clock you start to get my brain. But in the night, I'm working. How do you understand yourself? If you haven't done this exercise, try and a lot of us may be say, but I have to do what my boss tells me. That's fine. But don't go and do an email that is important in the morning when you're an evening person. And don't go and do an email in the evening when your brain has shut down. Or a presentation. Understand yourself. Know your most productive hours. Schedule your time through tools. How many of us use Microsoft here at work? We do. Fantastic. How many of us know that there's something called Insights on Microsoft? How many of us use it? Do you block your focus times? Do you use those tools? They're not there for design. Your company didn't buy it because it was beautiful. You're meant to use it. Do you block time to be productive? Or every time you're just waiting? Some people just work till the next meeting. So from one meeting to the other, from one meeting, then they will not say, today was back to back to back. There's no trophy for it. So it was back to back, then what did you achieve? Nothing. Then you now say your boss does not like you. There are no scores for attending meetings. Discuss with your team and manager. And I liked what Osi said. If you don't have a relationship with your boss, please from today, cultivate it. Cultivate it, because your boss will now understand what you do, how you do, when to do it. I had the privilege of having some beautiful women in my life. GT indeed includes inclusive, and the ED and the DMD. And one day I'm going to talk about commutes now. You know, somebody came and said, I've bought my house. And the DMD, Kathy, was there. And she was like, where? He said, in Arekpo. I didn't even know where Arekpo was, right? And then I was like, oh, congratulations. She said, why? I said, and the boy was like, he said, what time will you leave your house? What time will you get to work? He said, it just started. If you know Kathy, it just started. He said, you know, some of you are just daft. You just go and you buy a house because you want to say, I own my house. But what is he doing to your life? He's cutting off your expectancy. So you leave Arekpo at 4 to VI. Then by the time you get there and you fought with the bus drivers on the road so you don't hit your car, you now get there and you say, let me sleep. So your adrenaline is high now. Sleep will not come. So maybe sleep even comes. You sleep in your car. Then you get into the office. You're not at your best. Then your boss is coming from Ikoyi and you know, all fresh. And then he says, oh, do this. And you're like, okay. You can't do that to yourself. And then you get home at 10 and you're tired. And to your family, you are useless. That is not life. Now, workplace well-being. What matters most is alignment and control. Now, what is alignment? I always say alignment is your personal values, identity, priorities equals to allocation of time and energy. What is not important to me, I do not allocate time to. What is not important? Saturdays, in fact, Olayinka had to tell me, he said, please block November 12th. Because if I don't block it, I do not do it. If it's not important to me, I do not do it. Does that make me popular? No. If you have a problem with it, I'm sorry. But I will not do it. My Saturdays are important to me. They are my family times, and they are times I use for the other things in my life. And so you have to allocate your time to the things that are beneficial for you, your personal values, your identities, and your priorities. So if you're allocating your time to social media, we'll come to social media, but so prioritize and delegate. You know, some of us want to do things by ourselves. Especially for those who are married here. You want to be the one that will cook that food. You want to be the only one that will wash your child's clothes. You want to be there. There's no price for it. Delegate. Even at work, delegate. You want to be the one that will send that email. Why? If you're a line manager and you're the one that is always doing everything, then you have a problem. If your team is not able to function without you, then you have a problem. Prioritize and delegate. Do what is important. For me, for instance, playing with my children is important too. So so somebody needs to be preparing the beans. I can't cook beans. Prepare it. It's beans. The ones that I will do when it is my husband's food, I will do that one because that is important. But the things that are not important, the time that I'm sweating in the kitchen, I will be doing something else with my children and doing something. So if I'm in the kitchen, we're in the kitchen together and we're gisting. Prioritize and delegate. At work, delegate. You don't have to know everything. A lot of times the mistake we make in career is we want to know everything. You don't have to know everything. That is why you have a team. Control. How do you manage interruptions between your work and life? What boundaries should be set? Now, there's a myth of multitasking. People say, I multitask. You can't multitask. One will drop. The key to it is what I call compartmentalization. Somebody asked me, how do you move from this to this? I said, I compartmentalize. When I leave, my children don't care what happened at Visa. That's not their business. To them, you're mommy. So the minute I enter the door of my house, I drop Visa until they go to bed. And when they go to bed, I pick up Visa if I need to do work. But at the same time, there is Mr. Mesele who does not care you went to Visa. He wants to tell you what happened that day. And so that is not the time I will be on social media. I will prioritize. If you don't do that, there's a spillover and a crossover. The effect of workplace are felt by your workers at home. Because if you do transferred aggression, your boss gave you a nasty appraisal feedback, or you will transfer it to the people at home if you do not compartmentalize. It's very, very important. There are two types of people in the workplace. There are the people that grow BAU and the people that grow being versatile. And I liked what Osi said. You cannot be BAU and grow. I know some people that say, as long as my salary is complete, no problem, it will keep being complete until the day they say, who are the high, we need to downsize. So if you are in that WhatsApp group, please move from there. And again, you cannot grow in an organization, just this, I digress. You cannot grow in an organization when you are the gossip person. If you are the one that gives the real gossip, you cannot be a leader because your gossip partners will not respect you. Okay? So always request for feedback, by the way. So I always say to give feedback is a privilege and to receive it is a gift. Always ensure you get feedback. Okay? All right. Now, I'm rounding up here. Since you want tips. So, focus on your values and priorities. Now, make an individual development plan. You know, I told you I have a school, so I'm a teacher, so we'll do homework. Make an individual development plan. Set and know your limits and boundaries. Protect your time. It's not every wedding you will go for. Go to their house and pray with them that morning and go home. Or you go to church and leave. You don't have to. It's the same rice and chicken. And loud music. If you don't need to be there, you don't need to be there. That time that you are there, you can use it to learn something else. You can visit your father. You can visit your friend. Who do your friends identify you as? Me, I'm not the fun one. But if you need somebody to come and talk to, come. Come to my house. We'll gist over something and we'll talk. But if you want somebody that will plan an outing, So know yourself. Now, with a new opportunity, don't say yes immediately. You may be setting yourself up at work. Who is going to do this thing? You don't know that thing. You say yes because Ms. Osinachi said I should be visible. You say yes, you will now set yourself up. Don't do that. Because sometimes that saying yes can affect the other gears of your life because you are not prepared for it. At the same time, among your family, when they say, who is going to go and get that Ashrebi? I will go. The 6 hours you're spending in caring, should you really be spending it? Think about it. Okay? Hone your time management skills. Find your time wasters. Here we have social media. I just wanted to look at one post and you're there for 3 hours. We are there. Those people on that table, we are here. Now, what I did was I moved. First of all, I'm not a social media person, and I'm not expecting anybody to be like me. I don't know how to watch TV, right? If you give me, I'm weird that I've read Napoleon and I can't watch the movies. I will read the book. But for people who like to watch TV and do social media, please find your time wasters. How long are you allocating to it? Do you have an app on your phone that shows you how many times you spend on your phone? That app. If you don't have it, look for it. But the new phones have it. So find how many times, how many hours you spend on the phone. Then you realize your time wasters. And you will see that you actually had time to do a lot of things. Utilize all times available. Because of my busy schedule, I call my mom when I'm driving home. So I don't like a driver because I do a lot of talk when I'm driving. And so I use that time. I can be doing something at home and I'm carrying a child, one of my children. I can be doing something at home and I'm cooking. Utilize all times available. Get organized. Keep it. How many of us keep a to-do list daily? Daily. Daily. You see the people that keep to-do list daily. You know? Because I have different types of children. I have the one that is very organized. In fact, when she said she wanted to be a doctor, we were worried. We said, this one cannot think outside the box. So, hey, this one is too much of an effico. So she said she was going to be an engineer. We're like, yes. So, but I have another child who is very, and she's all over the place, but she's super smart. And I told her, I said, you know what? Let me tell you about this girl. We wake her up 5:30. Wake her siblings at 6. Her siblings will be dressed at 6:30. She's still roaming around in towel. And I'm like, Auntie, why? Are you owing money? But she would have, and you're like, what did you do from 5:30? But she can't list it. So I told her, I said, you know what? Let's have a to-do list. And let's be ticking. Honestly, if you don't have a to-do list, start it. The art of ticking your accomplishments is amazing. The feeling you get, it is invaluable. So if you do not have a to-do list, get it. Email and calendar management is very important. When we're sitting there, an alarm rang. I live by my alarms. My husband is tired. He said you have too many alarms. But you see, that's the leeway. And the alarm rang because my children needed to be in a meeting at 11 a.m. So I had a 10:55 alarm. And when it rang, I brought out my phone. I switched it off. I brought my phone and I said, you guys, hey, let your siblings join a meeting. Daddy, they need to join a meeting. Now, I'll say this quickly. Now, schedule time for yourself. You will work every day. You will work every time, and you've pleased everybody but yourself. And you then burn out. But when you burn out, you are now of no use to anybody. Then you are irritable, and they say, what's wrong with this one? They won't know you are dealing with burnout. Schedule time for yourself. I have a friend who is my spa partner. So anytime we'll just go to the spa, and we'll just go there, we'll just, we'll have a massage, and then we'll come back. What is important to you? So that's what's important to me. Some people used to go and watch movie. Just schedule, have your me time. Schedule time for yourself. It can be once a quarter because we're busy. It can be once a month, but schedule time for yourself. And most importantly, please pick your friends wisely. You cannot grow in your career and still have close friends who will be putting you on a guilt trip. You don't even call somebody. You don't, we're busy now. It's not as if I love you any less. Have friends who will understand. I have friends who, in fact, I had a friend, we said in May, it was our daughter that reminded us, we said in May we'll have lunch. We finally had the lunch 2 weeks ago. But we're very busy. But guess what? We continued from where we stopped. If you have friends who are guilt-tripping you, then you need to look at your friends list. You cannot be available for everybody. It doesn't mean you love them any less. And one of the most important career decisions you will take is who you marry. So if you are not married here, well, think about it. Because we cannot be all these things if we don't have a good partner. Before COVID, in fact, before COVID, I traveled so much. Now, before COVID, I traveled so much that one day I was getting up and I did this unconsciously. I was getting up from my table in the office and I did this unconsciously because I thought I was in the plane. But guess what? yes, I thought I was removing seatbelts. But guess what? For every time I traveled, I always made sure I was home weekends. It was horrible. It would probably mean I would land Nigeria Friday and be out again Sunday. But see, that Saturday is important. So I'm sorry, I cannot come to that wedding on Saturday because I have to be there. But then again, I couldn't have done all that if my husband was putting me on a guilt trip. And he traveled a lot as well, so we had to sync calendars. In fact, there was one day I was coming from the airport on this side. He was on this side. And we're like, where are you? Where are you? Oh, okay. But at least one person was at home. Your husband or your spouse is very important. Get a mentor and a support system. At work, and Osinachi talked about it, a sponsor can either be because of you can get a sponsor from that relationship or your competence at work. That's the person that's the gatekeeper. Now, sometimes that gatekeeper may be the PA to the MD. It doesn't have to be, because as soon as you said, your line manager may be very weak. Maybe he too is not performing and he needs help. So he cannot speak. I remember when we had calibrations this year, and everybody was, and then, you just, because the promotion was very tight, you had to come with your best game. And I said, well, you need to promote. And another person was like, no, but my staff, I said, so tell me what your staff did that was outside his job description. And she was like, but I said, so we don't have emotions here. And I was able to talk because I gave me facts and figures for my staff. Now, if you have a leader or a line manager who is not, now, there was somebody I fought for who wasn't reporting to me, but I recognized what he was doing. Now, at home, keep your friends and family close. Double dip. Combine the activities you love with your family and your friends. So if you need to go somewhere, get your family with you. If you need to do things like that. Now, family time, date night. Do you have date night with your spouse? Or you're just working? Then you now find that both of you are flatmates. It's okay. Then have no electronics time. I purposely don't have a bed in my bedroom because we are not supposed to be watching TV there. You see, a TV, yes, I don't have a TV in my bedroom, I'm sorry. Because we're not supposed to be watching TV there. And then we say no electronics time. So the only thing you're allowed to do is either read a book or we gist or, But are you spending time with your family? With your partner, communication is key, which is why it says important who you marry. Be accountable to someone in your life. Do you have an accountable partner? Who are you accountable for? Or you're just living life? Who is keeping you on check? Who is ensuring you're doing these things that you're supposed to be doing? Delegate. I've said this, your chores and duties, grooming your team at work. Let go of guilt and maintain a good sense of humor. Now, you need to get organized. Whether it is creating a menu, I remember my mother-in-law of blessed memory before she passed. She told me, she said, she came to visit and she was like, baby, you are running your house like a military camp. I said, that's the only way I can survive. So create a menu. See, the worst thing I hate is, it has finished. What is it has finished? Do you have a minimum reorder level? At what point do you tell me it has finished? So for your own standing, you can imagine being at work, you're preparing for something, and then they will just say, send you a message, gas has finished. It can disorient you, and it can affect, so that's work-life integration, because it will happen. How do you ensure that you are prepared for it? Have a standard grocery. I remember there was one time, and prioritize your time. There was a time in my life where, and I had to do it because I had a lot of help. My children were younger. 6 a.m., I'm at the door. I'll go. I'll come back. I'll wear my clothes. I'll go. I'll come back. Hey, my brothers and sisters, I cannot try that now. You see, we have Yashemilore, who I send my WhatsApp list to. We have Mama Glory, who will buy me goat's meat, and my driver will pick it up. And we have Price Pally when all those two fails. Do you think about it? Your time is important. So today, we're going to do an activity. Now, as God begins to bless and elevate you, it will come with some measure of stretch and stress and strain. And it's because you're adjusting. Imagine you, can we lift up our hands? Just lift it like this. Now lift it a little higher. Now lift it a little higher. And go higher. And are you straining? Yes. That is how growth is. It is uncomfortable. Don't curse by complaining or murmuring. It is stressful because you are reacting to that smaller mindset you were coming from. When you curse and you go and say, this new place, it's so stressful. You have told God, maybe I'm meant to be there, I can't deal with this. Instead, find ways to expand. Look at the things. So that's why we're going to do this. And you're not doing it now. Take a picture of it. So look at a day in your life from 12 a.m. to, 12 midnight, whatever. Record your schedule on a busy day. Fill in as much detail as possible, right? Include your time for work, your home, and yourself. Now, in the yellow column, mark the items that are W for work, H for home, and S for self. At the end of that day, analyze your schedule using these tips. So remember we talked about prioritize, delegate, time wasters, and double dip. Now look at the things that, that's another alarm. So prioritize. Now look at the things that you should have prioritized that you didn't. Look at the things that you are doing that you can delegate. Look at the things that were time wasters. And please be very honest when doing this exercise. If you put, I was on Twitter from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., write it there, Twitter. I was on social media, write it there. And then look at the things you should have double dipped. And when you do this, you have a checklist, you get organized, you look at your time wasters, you would realize that you are better able to integrate your life. And you are better able to be effective at work, to be that person at home, and to take care of yourself and be valuable to your relationships around you. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.